I'm Rebeccah Hecke. I work for a vineyard management company managing the custom grazing program for them. Mostly we work with sheep grazing in between the vines over the winter, but we also have a group of goats, and we use both to control grasses, brush, everything around a vineyard property mostly, and in the vineyard itself. But we also do different programs, as we are doing here today, working on brush control. The way that we work with contract grazing, we're hired by usually owners of vineyards who have a certain area that they either want to do something different other than mowing. They want to look at better methods of controlling grasses, controlling weeds, controlling brush other than mowing, or other methods, and they want to use the sheep, and also for fertilizing of the vineyard land. So we will bring our sheep in. They hire us to bring the sheep in because they are not yet prepared to have animals, especially have them year-round. So we bring them into different properties. We utilize intensive grazing methods and graze different areas that are requested by the client, and then we move them out to a different property. At the moment, we're in a property called Noble Oaks, which is somewhat of a preserve or a restoration site. Right now, it is located between Sheridan and Willamina, and a very big property owned by the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. So many times one of the main things we have to worry about, being that we move from one property to the next, is bringing water to the animals. Over the winter, the sheep mostly get most their moisture from the moisture in the grasses in the forage. However, this time of the year, it's very, very important that we bring them fresh water. And that is a challenge many times because there are locations where there's not water available, so we'll haul it. Right now, I'm using a big 250-gallon tank in the back of my truck, and I bring it in. In some locations, I have to use an ATV with a smaller 50-gallon tank to take it out to our different water troughs, our different rotations. There are locations where there is water available on site. However, as it's so temporary, as there's nothing set up, there's no water system set up, we're always hauling water in the summer to the animals. One thing also that has been important for me is noting the difference in nutritional needs for certain animals. For example, if you're breeding, if you have nursing mothers or even pregnant mothers, their nutritional needs are going to be quite a lot different than wethers or rams or bucks. They probably need quite a bit more supplementation other than just natural forage, whereas males, groups of males or young females probably don't require that much other than a good quality natural salt and water. When given the opportunity to select, they're always going to select exactly what they need and not more. And that's the same with toxic plants. An animal has all the ability and intelligence and they will not eat it unless they are starving, unless they are held into a location and they have nothing else to eat, or they are unwell, then possibly, maybe. I have never seen it. And that goes back to proper management, proper rotation of the animals. But I have no concern about toxic plants in my program. I run my herds and flocks in different methods. Many times I have them separate because of the needs of our clients. For example, when we have animals in the vineyards, only our sheep go because the goats would eat the vines. However, I have put them together, but one method that I really enjoy utilizing is staggering the different breeds. For example, now in this property, first I'm taking our group of sheep through a certain area. They really enjoy eating off the flowers, the tops of the grasses that are going to seed, maybe the tender tops of the blackberry, and then I let them just do one quick pass, and then I come back with another group of goats, which are my cleanup crew. and they take care of all the brush, bark, and certain grasses and certain leaves that are not eaten by the sheep. And I've found such a good synergy in going one group, one breed, one species after the next. I've been utilizing the electric mesh fence. I found that the most effective and the easiest method, and especially in protecting the animals and keeping them in and keeping predators out. It's easy for me alone to set up and take down because we are doing most of the time every other day movements, and so it allows me to pick it up real fast, put it back in, and also it's very adaptable because every property is different size, different shape, and it allows me to keep them enclosed and to set it up quickly and safely. Okay, so you have your agenda of moving a group of animals, and you have it set up that you're going from this rotation to that rotation, and you have a gate right here, and you're bringing them in and they're just not wanting to go, not wanting to go, not wanting to go. My perspective and how I've seen it work so beautifully is say, okay, we're not going to go this way. And so instead you open another gate. You know, maybe you have to rebuild a whole fence. That's okay. That's our schedule that, you know, that needs to change, not theirs. And giving them that time, and instead of trying to shove them into that gate, how about we make another gate if at all possible? Or how about we step away, do it tomorrow? Or any of those different methods, but they will usually happily go when they understand where to go and when they're given the opportunity to go, instead of just given the schedule that you need to go in there right now, you know. And so I've many times just changed the angle or gone through a totally different gate, and it doesn't matter if it's even longer to the next rotation, but they'll make it there a lot easier. I think one of the ways that we can avoid some of the extra stress is in movement of animals. Number one, remembering that they are fine, that they don't need to be anywhere. What we have determined where they need to be is only in our minds and not in theirs. And I think number one, we're always need to be willing to be okay with them not following exactly what we need them to do. And then also very, very importantly, knowing the best low stress methods of moving animals. I was always taught that animals move like the current of a stream, and I find that to be very true. I have taught my herds and flocks to follow me, and behind them are my herding dogs, which are to be very gentle and just push them towards me and keep them so that I'm the safe place, and I don't try to bait them with food. I think that food and movement, that animals should never be bought to follow us, that they should follow us because we're safe and because we're a good place to be. And so that's why I have my herding dogs in the back, which technically are almost like predators, and I'm the safe spot. And also the good thing about rotational grazing is they know movement means fresh grass, fresh forage, so that is also something positive. And I try to move them just very quietly, and also even looking at directions of movements, uphill, downhill, curves. I try to almost like a river, almost like a stream, allow them where their natural movement out of a rotation will lead them into the next. Somewhere they can see. Opening gates so that they can see is critical. It's something that is not common knowledge, but you know, making sure you're opening a gate into where they're going and not cutting babies out that could get stuck behind a gate. All those sorts of things, and always quiet. I think it's a big mistake we make assuming that animals should be involved with speech, with talk. That's the best thing we can do many times is take a step back and be quiet, and that's how we end up being able to work with them. So we are very fortunate to have two lovely guardian dogs, which I believe do an exceptional job. At the moment in this property, I do have them loose. They're free to roam, and they stick close to the animals. And they I believe do a great job protecting against most of the predators. As I have also noticed the fence, the electric mesh fence, also we don't seem to ever have any issues. I don't see holes underneath the fence ever from coyotes or anything like that. The issue I've seen this year is eagles picking up our little Shetlands and our little kid goats, and I haven't seen any method with the guard dogs or the fence to protect from the eagles. And then at the same time, I really respect wildlife in all around us, and understand that there can be a balance with sharing the land and the land that was theirs, and making sure that we're still living within the laws of nature. For me, a huge part of having animals is their well-being, both in terms of nutritional needs, in terms of the care, handling of them, the movements. I believe that that's more important than understanding how they graze, understanding utilizing them in the property. I think animal behavior, number one, must be understood before having animals, and also keeping in mind all their wellness needs. For example, if it's a rainy area, the goats are going to need shelter, and looking at hooves, trimming hooves, that's an issue that we need to look at with especially certain breeds of goats, and sometimes sheep as well. All those things, I think, are critical when analyzing whether animals are suitable for the property. I think there's an education that's necessary in bringing animals to your property, and precisely the education of animal behavior, animal handling, gentle animal handling. For example, ways that animal move are not always our instinctual or our rationale. However, it is important to learn how the animals themselves look at movement, how they like to move or flow. I call it a flow. And I think those are essential and very, very important when considering having animals in your property.